The Lost Passport and the Kind Stranger. The plane was delayed, so I walked to the airport cafe. I ordered a coffee and checked my bag again. It was 6:45 a.m. and my flight to London was scheduled for 8:10 a.m. I had already passed security, but I wanted one last sip before boarding. I sat at a small table near the window, watching planes taxi on the runway. I opened my backpack to take out my book and then I froze. My passport was not in its usual pocket. I pulled everything out: my wallet, my phone, my headphones, my notebook. Nothing. My heart started to beat fast. I looked under the chair. I checked the floor. I even looked in my jacket pockets. Still nothing. I whispered to myself, "No, no, no, this can't be happening." I had just returned from a business trip in Berlin, and this was my first time traveling alone to the UK. My visa was linked to that passport. If I didn't find it, I wouldn't get on the plane. I might miss my meeting with my new client. I might lose my job. I stood up quickly and walked back toward the security checkpoint. A man in a blue uniform saw me running and asked, "Sir, are you okay?" I said, "I lost my passport. I think I left it at security." He nodded and said, "Don't worry. Let me call the lost property team." He gave me a form to fill out. I wrote my name, Tom Wilson, my flight number, BA204, my date of birth, 12 March 1990. He told me it usually takes 30 to 60 minutes to process a found item. But my flight leaves in 75 minutes. I felt like crying. I sat down again, holding my head in my hands. That's when she appeared. She was about 50 years old, with gray hair tied in a loose bun. She wore a navy blue coat and carried a small suitcase with a red ribbon. She sat across from me and asked softly, "Are you okay? You look worried." I looked up. Her eyes were kind. I said, "I lost my passport. My flight leaves in an hour. I don't know what to do." She didn't laugh. She didn't ignore me. She said, "I've been through this before. Tell me everything." So I told her where I last saw it, how I traveled from Berlin, why this trip mattered. She listened carefully. Then she said, "Let's go to the lost property office together." I wasn't sure I should trust her, but I had no other choice. We walked quickly through Terminal B. People rushed past us. Some were shouting into phones. Others were dragging suitcases. but she walked calmly, like she knew the way. We reached the counter near gate 10. A woman behind the desk smiled politely. She asks, "What's your name and flight number?" I answered, "Tom Wilson, flight BA 204 to London." She typed on her computer. Then she shook her head. "I'm sorry, no passport has been reported yet under that name." I sighed. I felt defeated. But the woman beside me spoke up. "Excuse me," she said gently, "could you check if any passport was handed in at gate 12, around 6 a.m.? The clerk looked surprised. Gate 12? That's the international departure zone. "Yes," the woman said. "I was there earlier. A man dropped something near the X-ray machine. I picked it up because it looked important. I thought maybe he'd come back, but he didn't." I stared at her. You picked it up?" She nodded. "I saw the photo inside. It looked like a young man, and the name Wilson was written on the cover." My mouth opened. "That's mine. That's my passport." She smiled. "I knew it." The clerk looked confused. "Wait, did you bring it here?" The woman said, "Yes, I put it in the lost box at gate 12. I didn't know who it belonged to." The clerk hurried away and came back 2 minutes later with the small brown envelope. She handed it to me. It was my passport. My hands trembled as I opened it. There it was, my photo, my signature, my visa stamp from Berlin. I looked at the woman. Tears filled my eyes. "I don't know how to thank you," I said. She smiled. "You don't need to thank me. Just make sure you keep it safe next time." I asked, "May I buy you coffee or tea? Anything?" She laughed lightly. "I'm going to London too. Same flight. We'll have coffee on board." I blinked. "You're on BA 204? "Yes," she said. "I'm visiting my daughter in Camden. She's studying art." I said, "I'm going to meet my client in Canary Wharf. We're launching a new software app." She raised her eyebrows. "Oh, I love technology. My granddaughter works for Google." We both laughed. Then she added, "My name is Margaret, Margaret Ellis." "I'm Tom, Tom Wilson." We walked to gate 12 together. Along the way, I learned more about her. She used to work as a librarian in Manchester. She retired 3 years ago. Now she travels every winter to visit family around Europe. "I never fly without a backup plan," she said. "What do you mean?" I asked. She opened her small suitcase. Inside, there was a printed copy of her passport, her boarding pass, and her insurance card, all laminated. "I always carry copies," she said, "and I write my emergency contact on a sticky note inside my wallet."
I felt ashamed. I had never done any of that. I only trusted my phone to remember everything. But my phone had died during the Berlin trip. I hadn't charged it. I hadn't thought ahead. Margaret noticed my silence. She patted my arm. "Don't blame yourself. Everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is you found it, and now you know better." We reached Gate 12. The boarding announcement began. Flight BA204 to London Heathrow is now boarding at Gate 12. I turned to Margaret. "Thank you. Really, thank you." She hugged me gently. "You're welcome, Tom. Now go. Don't miss your flight." I stepped forward to board. Then I turned back. "Margaret, can I give you my email? Maybe we can meet in London." She smiled. "Of course. Write to me at margaret.ellis@outlook.com." I took out my phone. I turned it on. It had just enough battery to send one message. I typed, "Dear Margaret, thank you for saving my day. I will never forget your kindness. Tom." I hit send. She waved. "Safe travels, Tom." I boarded the plane. I sat in seat 14B. I opened my passport. I touched the cover. I couldn't believe it was real. A few minutes later, a flight attendant came by. She smiled and asked, "Would you like water, tea, or coffee?" I said, "Coffee, please. Black." She brought it to me. As I sipped, I looked out the window. The plane taxied slowly. The sun was rising over the tarmac. I thought about Margaret. I thought about how many people rush through airports without seeing each other. How many people walk past someone in distress and say nothing. But she stopped. She listened. She acted. She didn't ask for money. She didn't want recognition. She just helped. I realized airports aren't just places of travel. They are places of human connection. Sometimes strangers become friends. Sometimes kindness changes everything. When we landed in London, I grabbed my bag and rushed to exit. I looked around for Margaret, but I didn't see her. I sent another message. "Did you make it to Camden safely?" 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed. "Tom!" Yes, I arrived. Took the tube. My daughter hugged me so hard she nearly knocked me over. "Thank you again for your sweet message. P.S. Don't forget to make a copy of your passport next time." I laughed out loud. I replied, "I already printed one, and I bought a little pouch for it. I'm never taking chances again." I walked outside into the cool London morning. I called my client. I'm here, I said. I made it. He sounded relieved. Thank goodness. We've been waiting for you. We met at the office at 10:30 a.m. I presented the app. They loved it. They signed the contract. Later that evening, I sat in my hotel room. I opened my laptop. I wrote an email to the airport authority. Subject: Thank you for your staff and a very special passenger. Dear Sir, Madam, I am writing to express my deepest gratitude for your lost property service. More importantly, I want to recognize a passenger, Margaret Ellis, who found my lost passport at Gate 12 and delivered it to your office. Without her kindness, I would have missed my flight, my meeting, and possibly my job. She did not ask for anything. She simply acted with compassion. I hope you can acknowledge her in some way, perhaps with a thank you note. She deserves to be remembered. Thank you for making London Heathrow a place where humanity still matters. Sincerely, Tom Wilson. I pressed send. The next morning, I received a reply. Dear Mr. Wilson, thank you for your heartfelt letter. We have contacted Miss Ellis. She declined any public recognition, but she did say this. Tell him to keep his passport safe, and tell him to smile at strangers. You never know who needs it. We have attached a small gift certificate for our airport cafe. Use it when you return. Welcome back to London. Warm regards, Airport Customer Service Team. I smiled. I saved the email. I printed the certificate. I put it in my passport holder. Next month, I flew back to London. This time, I had 3 copies of my passport. I also carried a small notebook with emergency contacts. And I wore a red ribbon on my suitcase, just like Margaret's. I sat in the same cafe. I ordered the same coffee. I looked around. I hoped to see her. I didn't. But I whispered to the air, "Thank you, Margaret." And I smiled at the stranger next to me. He looked nervous. He was checking his bag repeatedly. I leaned over. I said gently, "Are you okay?" He looked up. His eyes widened. He said, I think I lost my ticket." I smiled. I said, "Don't worry, let me help."